The first part of our presentation is about the selection sectors and companies. We choose the consumer product and services sector, which is PADINI Holdings Berhad and Petronas Dagangan Berhad. And our second selected sector is transportation and logistics, consist of Complete Services Logistik Berhad and Lingkaran Transkota Holding Berhad. PADINI Holdings Berhad is a Malaysia-based investment holding company that sells clothing, shoes and fashion accessories under a range of brands. The company offers apparel and related goods in retail context. The business deals with advertising and marketing women's shoes, clothing and accessories as well as children's clothing. They operate around 140 outlets in Malaysia and in other countries including United Arab Emirates, Cambodia, Indonesia, Brunei, Myanmar and Bahrain. Moving on to the next company, which is Petronas Dagangan Berhad, or known as PADDAG. PADDAG is a Malaysia-based retailer and marketer of liquefied petroleum gas, and that was founded in 1981. The company was successfully listed on the main market of the Bursa Malaysia Securities Berhad on March 1994, establishing itself as a leading retailer and a marketer of downstream petroleum products in Malaysia. Also, PADDAG segments include retail, commercial and other segments. The retail segment consists of sales and purchases of petroleum products in the retail sector. However, the commercial segments consist of sales and purchases petroleum products to the commercial sectors, while the other segments include aviation fueling services, technical services and business activities. Next, our third selected company is Complete Logistics Services Berhad. It's an industrial services industry wherein principally an investment holding company. The activities of its subsidiaries include the provision of total logistics services that encompass the integration of both shipping and land transportation. The company was listed on the main market of Bursa Malaysia Securities Berhad in August 2007. The services that they provide is marine transportation services, general trading, trading of freight, lorry transportation and warehousing. Also, the company has several subsidiaries under their company, such as Channel Legion, Complete Logistics Specialist, Cooper Bonded Warehouse and Mal Surya. Last company is Lingkaran Transkota Holding Berhad, or known as LITRAK. So, LITRAK is the highway concessionaire or bulk operate transfer operator company in Malaysia. The company is publicly listed on Bursa Malaysia and significantly owned by Gamuda Group. This modern intra-urban highway has provided convenient access to townships such as Kepong, Bandar Sri Damansara, Bandar Utama, Taman Tun Dr. Ismail, Petaling Jaya, Sunway, Subang Jaya, Puchong and Shah Alam. The LTP highway is aimed to ease city congestion and increase the capacity on North-South Road running 40 kilometers from Sri Damansara in the north to Petaling Jaya, Puchong and Putrajaya in the south.
PADINI is directly impacted with the KSCI index. It can be seen that the trend of PADINI directly reflects with the KSCI index trend but with different volume or percentage. In the long-term trend, it can be seen that the trend of PADINI and FPM KSCI index is different, with PADINI moving in uptrend, while FPM KSCI index is moving sideways, which due to the higher demand in the consumer product and services industry, which lead the share price to increase in the long run. For the intermediate term, from March to May 2022, both KSCI index and PADINI stock moving sideways. However, the movement for PADINI are far bigger than KSCI index, as PADINI had a sharp increase in stock price movement in February 2022, making the gap between KSCI index and PADINI stock percentage bigger than before. The big movement of PADINI stock was due to the Employees Provident Fund, which is EPF, raised its stake in the cloth retailer. Price movement of both Petronas Dagangan and KSCI index in early May from September 8, 2021 until September 2021 was a negative move, which is downtrend, where Petronas Dagangan and KSCI show a sudden decrease in prices but at a different level of prices. It is due to the news that Petronas Dagangan second quarter earnings were below analysis expectation because of the rising in COVID-19 cases which impeded the travel. While intermediate term for the first 3 months, there was a gradual decrease reported in both Petronas Dagangan and KSCI index price movement from May to July 2021. It is due to the fixed renting aspect crude palm oil prices to decline further, which is mainly driven by higher production due to the favorable weather condition. The long-term period by looking at the first 6 months, which is from May to November 2021, there is downtrend for the first 3 months and the price movement uptrend for the whole second half of the period, which is August to early November 2021. The performance of the complete company is astonishing rather than the performance of the FPM KSCI index in 2022. In the chart, it clearly shows the overall complete logistic company trend is bullish or uptrend, which began in September 2021 and until the middle of May 2022. However, KSCI index trend is sideways and insignificant, and in fact, it did not even cross the line during the period. Furthermore, the performance of the complete company was insignificant when compared to the FPM KSCI from May 2021 to October 2021. However, the stock price began to rise in the middle of September 2021 as a result of the Transport Ministry's decision to allow the use of truck, heat and trailer shared by one group of companies as part of its commitment to boost the logistics industry through greater competitiveness and efficiency. The downtrend line that formed in the middle of July 2021 was due to the news regarding the mulling restructuring of concession. According to the Edge Market of article, Litra has shown decreasing net profit ended March 2021, which amounted 205.78 million from 392.83 million in revenue. At the end of March 2022, it showed the Litra stock is not significant with KSCI index price movement, and the price movement of Litra stock has shown a sudden rising price movement. It is due to the reflect amanat lebuh rakyat Berhad offer to purchase all the security in its 100% owned Lingkara Transkota Sembilan Berhad and its 50% owned sistem penyuraian trafik KL Barat Sembilan Berhad with a combination enterprise value of 3.93 billion.
Moving on to the development of consumer product and services industry in Malaysia. The consumer products and services industry is vast and it is further subsided into this list. This sector is important because it provides necessities that we as a human cannot live without, such as food and clothing. Companies in this sector include Nestle Malaysia Berhad, Petronas Dagangan Berhad, PADINI Holdings Berhad and Samdabri Berhad. The services sector is Malaysia's main contributor to the economy, increased 13.4% in the second quarter of 2021 compared to a 2.3% drop in the first quarter. The performance was led by the wholesale and retail trade subsector, followed by the finance and insurance and transportation and storage subsectors. The services sector is a significant and expanding component of the Malaysia's economy, contributing for about 54% production and 57% of total employment. The services sector contribute for 1.8 million out of 1.9 million employment added in the last 10 years. While the overall demand for food is unlikely to fluctuate widely, the specific goods consumer purchase can vary significantly under different economic conditions. Employment is one of the major elements affecting consumer demand, followed by the price of a product and the customer preferences. Next is an incentive and subsidy. There are many types of subsidies that Malaysia's government provide. For example, soft loan schemes for services sector and the SME Emergency Fund. A steady increase in the retailer subsector will be a significant source of revenue for the industry in the future. Notable trends in the industry include First, by adopt and get involved in the digital revolution, and the second is drive supply chain resilience with diversified sourcing to meet these needs. Organizations need to invest in new technology and improve their current capabilities. The pie chart showed the percentage market share of 9 company retailer sector. Companies that will be highlighted here are PADINI and PADINI. The highest percentage of the market share among 9 companies is PADINI with 67.57%. The main contribution of the highest percentage of the market share is the consumer preference that lead the company to receive higher amount of revenue amounted to 22,505 million ringgit. In 2021, PADINI has upgraded close to 90% of their stations with state-of-the-art payment terminals and cloud-based point-of-sale system. Next, PADINI ranked in the top 5, which amounted 3.09% of the market share. The main contribution of the PADINI's market share is where this company achieved CAGR of 17.4% in the group revenues over the last 10 years, and the growth is directly attributed to the continuous sales growth achieved by its subsidiaries during the 10-year period. The low percentage of Mr. DIY, Pokong, Sangheng and Kamda may caused by the degree of product systemization and the stage of product life cycle. Some of these companies also having a low percentage of market share due to the lower sales, and they need to prioritize or rebuild the product to attract customer and make a good relationship with their customer.
Now, I'll be explaining about the transportation and logistics industry performance. Transport and logistics is a significant growth industry in Malaysia as the industry moved parallelly with the rise of e-commerce in Malaysia. Due to COVID-19, it has made the shopping habits of people change and hence making the logistics industry refocus on last-mile delivery services and push the logistics industry to re-evaluate and re-strategize its operation towards digitalization. After that, the wave of merge and acquisition (M&A) activity within the transportation and logistics sector has become more complex, driven by a focus on niche segments such as the cold chain and the ambition to achieve greater network and scale, not at least to capitalize on the e-commerce wave. Besides that, the government established the Digital Free Trade Zone (DFTZ) in 2017, which is the first electronic world trade platform to facilitate seamless cross-border trade and enable local businesses to export their goods with a focus on e-commerce. Last but not least, the Malaysian government has established the East Coast Railway Line (ECRL) project in an effort to build world-class logistic infrastructure to support international trade activities in Malaysia. Moving on to the next slide of the contribution of GDP in transportation and logistics sector. First of all, the Malaysian logistics sector contributed 3.8% to the country's GDP in 2019. After that, Malaysia's trade activities have grown dramatically over the years with a compound annual growth rate CAGR of 6.5% from 2013 to 2018. Transportation operations have also risen at a 3% CAGR between 2013 and 2018. The government's initiative under the National Logistic Trade Facilitation and LTF and National Transport Policy (NTP) aim to increase the GDP contribution for logistics services to 8.9% by 2020 and as well as to internationalize Malaysia's logistics industry in the context of regional trade integration. Next slide for breaking factor of transportation and logistics industry. Lingkaran Trans Kota Setiausaha Berhad or LITRAK is a cautionary of Lebuh Raya Damansara Puchong, and to be sure, there are few services that will help the road users. Firstly, the LTP Auxiliary Police is a 24-hour police unit provided by LITRAK to assist road users during emergencies on the LTP highway. Secondly, LITRAK's Traffic Surveillance Control act as an eagle eye to ensure that traffic movement is appropriately observed and documented. Thirdly, monitors traffic condition and the variable message signs VMS. Lastly, LITRAK has made ETC lanes of touch and go and smart tag for users' convenience on LDP. Now, let's see the next slide of prospect of transportation and logistics industry. To begin, the rise in e-commerce in Malaysia. This may be due to the fact that Malaysia need to emerging fields such as cold chain logistics and long-distance delivery services due to the high in margin and rising in demand. Secondly, need to enhance workforce by 41%. This is because many jobs are expected to be created in digital free trade zone and central e-fulfillment centers due to the booming in the e-commerce industry. Thirdly, Malaysia needs to focus on training for halal logistic industry in Malaysia. It demonstrates that training industry professionals is critical, as a lack of professionalism in the transport and logistic processes in the supply chain may cast doubt on a product's halal status. Last but not least, strengthen the technology and human capital. Limited visibility in the optimization of transport movement, poor depot management, and a lack of online services in matching demand with supply, and it will create a shortage of skilled labor and mismatch. Now, I'll be explaining for the last slide in the transportation and logistic part, which is market share and also market size of transportation and logistic industry. Based on the figure here, it shows the market share of 9 companies, including 7 major companies of transportation and logistic industry, and then 2 companies we had chosen for stock analysis, which are Complete and Litruck, and also other minor companies of transportation and logistic industry. According here, MISC Berhad is the leading market shareholder with 41.11% of share and 11 billion ringgit of revenue as of 31st March 2022. Moreover, Litruck was the second lowest with 1.5% and Complete Company was the lowest with 0.43%. Meanwhile, the market size, referring to the figure here, the market size of the transportation and logistic industry is also led by the MISC Berhad with 43% of the market size with the market capitalization of 30.22 billion ringgit Malaysia. The 2 companies that we had chosen for stock analysis, which are Litruck and Complete, only hold approximately 4% and 1% of the market size respectively. The other companies of the transportation and logistic industry only hold around 7% of market size overall.
Moving on, I will be discussing on the past stock price movement and the future direction of each stock. Firstly is PADINI Holdings Berhad. According to the figure, for a short-term trend which appear only for a few days or a week, we can refer to the trend from 29th September to 4th October 2021, which appears to move in an uptrend line. While for medium-term trend, there are 2 types of trend line that had been identified, which is the downtrend in between 26th October to 1st December 2021, and the other one was sideways trend, which happened from 24th February until 25th May 2022. Lastly, the major trend, which is for the long-term trend, the price movement is moving in an uptrend line, showing a positive sign for the company for the long run in the stock market. Based on the next figure, it shows the price pattern that had been identified for the stock of PADINI. There are 4 price patterns that has been identified, in which 2 of them are reversal pattern, while the other 2 are continuous patterns. The first one is double top, which is very bearish technical reversal pattern that appears when an asset experiences a moderate decrease between 2 high price in a row. Next, the pattern that had been discovered was the bullish flag, which indicate the continuation of a bull trend that already exists, and the price will increase after the pattern is finished. On top of the double top pattern, a triple top pattern is also discovered, starting from March 2022 until May 2022. The last pattern which has been identified is the bearish pattern that happened in June 2022, where strong downtrends like in the chart tend to produce bearish patterns, which are continuation patterns. Referring to the figure above, it shows the chart of PADINI, which also consists of indicators such as stochastic, moving average, convergence, divergence, MACD, and Williams percentage are indicators. On 16 July 2021, it can be seen that the buy signal appeared on the same day for all 3 indicators. However, for the next buy and sell signal, it does not appear on the same day, meaning that there is a lagging event in one of the indicators, which is MACD. The first indicator to give signal is Williams, followed by the stochastic, and lastly is MACD. This can be concluded that all indicators confirm the signal when it happened around the same time. The second stock that I will be discussing is Petronas Dagangan Berhad. In the figure above that shows the trend line for PADINI, for the short term there is a downward trend line that occurs in November 2021, while for intermediate term there are both upward and downward trend line that has been established. Lastly, for the long term trend, the price movement is moving in an uptrend line. In the next figure, we can spot three different types of price patterns that occur between May 2021 and May 2022, which is a year. In late August 2021, a head and shoulders pattern is established, which is a reversal pattern. Next is a double top that happened between October and November 2021 as the price movement bounced off twice on the resistance line before the stock price movement is about to change its direction. The last pattern to be discovered is the bullish pennant, which indicates the continuation of the upward trend. Moving on to the indicators of PADINI that are portrayed in the figure above, there are three main indicators used to indicate enter and exit market signals, which are double simple moving average double SMA, Williams percentage R, and moving average convergence divergence MACD. The next stock to be discussed is the Complete Logistics Service Berhad, also known as Complete. Based on the chart, we can conclude that Complete Service was having an uptrend for the long-term trend during the period. The medium trend of Complete was also indicated as an uptrend, and lastly, the short-term trend of Complete consists of uptrend and downtrend. According to the figure above, it shows the price patterns which have been found in Complete Logistics Service. We have identified three patterns which are cup and handles, rising wages, and bullish flag. All three patterns is a continuation patterns which indicate that the price will continue to move in an upward trend. The indicators used in the chart are moving average convergence divergence MACD, relative strength indicators RSI, and Williams percentage R. The green arrows indicates a buy signal, meanwhile a red arrows as a sell signal. Lastly, I'll be discussing on Lingkaran Transquarter Holdings Berhad, or also known as LITRA. The trend line that had been identified in LITRA's chart are upward trend for short-term and medium-term trend, while the major trend of LITRA seems to be moving in a sideways trend. According to the figure above, it portrays the price pattern of LITRA, which are double bottom and ascending triangle. There is also common and breakaway gap that had been identified in the chart. The last figure is showing the indicators used for LITRA's chart, which consists of RSI, stochastic, and MACD. These indicators used to signal when to enter or exit the market. The downtrend arrow, red, shows the selling signal, and the uptrend arrow, green, represents a buying signal. For PADINI, Complete, and LITRA stocks, we recommend future investors for an intermediate term to not enter the market and existing investors for an intermediate term to sell the stock due to the expectations that the stock's price movement will continue to decline in the intermediate timeline. However, we recommend for intermediate future investors to enter and purchase PADINI stock due to the strong uptrend line of stock price movement that can be confirmed by using MACD indicator. While for long-term future and existing investor of all stock, we recommend purchasing and holding all stock now due to the expectations that the stock price movement will rise in the long-term period. To conclude, in our case study, we analyzed the consumer product and services industry and transportation and logistics industry. Both industries have shown how economics nowadays, since COVID-19 hit the world, give an impact to every company in these industries. For both sectors, every company is facing significantly declining consumption as well as disrupted supply chain due to the long-term changes in customer behavior and demand during COVID-19 pandemic. However, the economy is seeing lights for the long-term investor as the economy had begun to recover.